mean business.
Well, down 1-0 right off the bat, and they've got to hit the Russians. There's no way they can let them freewheel and skate around as if they own the rink. They've got to come out there right off the bat and try to hit them, although I don't really know if that's Sweden's game or not, but we'll soon see. Great audience here tonight, Gary. It's probably a tremendous atmosphere for the players.
Well, the fans would like to see the hitting. They'd also like to see some scoring. There's the Swedish coach, QIWI, with a job to do already. His side trail it by that goal from Bure, scored in 35 seconds, and the Russians celebrate again. They've stretched it in just over a minute. Truchno getting the goal in 1 minute and 6 seconds, and already the Swedes are looking down the barrel.
That was unlucky, Gary. The goalie came out of the net to play it, and it took the bad bounce off the boards.
Off the post, and Truchno was Johnny on the spot to turn it in. He goes behind, takes a bad bounce, hits the post. Goalie's nightmare.
I hate to be thinking what he was thinking there.
Well, referee Makela takes a tumble, and
that's one of those bad dreams. That'll be a reoccurring one, I'm sure.
Well, as the ref fell over, I was thinking Riddervoll knows how he feels.
Oh.
2-0 to the Russians and just a minute gone.
Well, you know how...
They've given an assist to Semak at 1:06, but it was Truchno's goal. And
Russia just seems to be taking control here, Gary. They're just all over them right now.
Well, the Swedes try to get something going. Hammerstrom in the corner, gets it back to Lidström. And the Russians lie over it, and it drops out the back, and we've got a penalty on the play. Lidström for high sticks. I don't really see any high sticks there. You see any high sticks in this, Alex? Well, only because the other lad was lying on the ice.
Well,
high sticks is the call. 1:44 gone. 2 minutes the penalty against number 4, Nicholas Lidström, key player for the Swedes. So he'll sit out 2 minutes. And the Swedes are really up against it. 2-0 down and on to penalty kill.
And the Russian power play is, well, reputed to be one of the best in the world. So here they are in trouble again. You can't blame the goalie, though, Gary. The goalie's done a job. He's just been under fire the whole time. It's not as if it was any cheap goal. Well, the one cheap goal, but, you know, the Russians have outplayed them.
Well, he couldn't have anticipated that bounce off the boards. Here come the Russians on the power play. Gordiuk plays on the power play alongside Kamensky. Nemchinov. Gordiuk. Uvajev. Semak. Back to Uvajev. Uvajev lines up the big shot, and that's covered up by Riddervoll. And that's the kind of play we expect from this goalkeeper.
Well, he's going to have to play well. They've got one of the big Russians just parked in front of the net, and he's just trying to screen everything that's coming. You can see they're working it back to the point for the shot. The Swedes will have to be careful. They can't really try to move them too much, or the referee will probably give them another penalty. But personally, I think the goaltender would just love to see his defenseman just drop that big fellow out in front of the net and clear a pass so he can have a look at the puck.
And perhaps persuade him not to come back, but we'll see what happens. Kamensky and Butsajev out there for the Russians now. Butsajev wins the draw. Kamensky collects left wing. He set up Kravchuk at point, but nothing came of it, and the Swedes managed to get it down the ice. And Berglund chases it down. The Swedes remember killing that penalty to Lidström, timed at 1:44.
So I think with the Russians, Gary, they got some big players, and they really control the corners and boards well.
Big hit behind the play on Butsajev behind the net. But he doesn't seem that bothered. He's still trying to win possession, but the Swedes not clearing as well as they would hope. And the Russians keeping the pressure on. It slips over the stick at point, and the Russian captain Konstantinov has to go deep to collect.
Well, this will be a bit of a morale booster for them if they can kill off this penalty and just keep it to the 2-0 score. Hopefully get back into it.
Well, it's something they can build on. Here comes Kamensky, drops it off straight away for the defenseman. Picks up a pass though from Konstantinov. Takes it all the way in, one-handed out in front, but the shot from Gordiuk goes wide. Kamensky tries to stick handle through. 3 Swedes around him, swarm around him. Lidström out of the box and straight into the action. The Swedes kill the penalty and take it straight down the ice. Tommy Johnson can't reach it, and the Russians come straight back. Here's Kamensky with the wrist shot off the shoulder of Riddervall and into the corner. The Russians keep it in the Swedes' end though, but Lidstrom gets it out this time. And the Russians have to circle and regroup as they clear the zone and get their players back on side. A lot of intensity in this one already, Alex.
Well, the Russians certainly look like they're here to play hockey. Some of the other games I didn't feel that they took it that serious, but right now they're just dominating Sweden. You kind of feel sorry for the Swedes as if they don't belong in the same rink, but I'm sure things will change. The Swedes, you know, they must be a little bit uptight. Home crowd, big crowd there, and I think everybody's expecting them to do so well.
Well, they certainly do deserve to belong in the same group. Both these teams are world champions in their history, and both of them World Championship Pool A teams.
Unfortunately, Russia has that ability to make a strong team look poor. You know, they are such a strong nation, and they can play with the best and make the best look poor.
Snapshot from the Russians there. Throughout this tournament, we felt the Russians had a gear or two to spare, and they've rarely stretched themselves to the limit.
Well, no matter who they seem to play, they always play like that, but they don't always get into that gear. It's, I don't know if it's lack of motivation or what it is, but sometimes they just, it's as if they're not really that urgent about anything.
Long shot from Stromvall goes off the side of the netting. Forsland couldn't keep it in for the Swedes, and Stillman has to go back to set things up from the back. His pass goes astray, and the Russians bring it forward through Kozlov. Well, a bit of a clatter into the post. Trip into the post for a Kovaljov. But he won't mind that. It came as much accidentally as anything. He did have Stromvall all over him. But nothing illegal, says the referee from Finland. And in fact, you can see on that replay from behind the net, he tripped over the outstretched pad and ankle of the netminder Riddervall. Marьин at the other end has had very little to do, the Russian goalie, and we know the Latvian can do a thing or two, so the Swedes need to test him a little more. Here they come again, down the left wing with Rundqvist.
I think we talked earlier, Gary, that the goaltending was going to play such a big part, and we haven't seen the Russian goaltender into it yet, but the Swedish guys had a bit of work to do, so...
Hakanlub gets a shot away. Big hero in Sweden, Hakanlub.
You don't see him miss many shots like that.
Years of experience in the NHL and a key player in the side, as is Naslund, although he's been injured during this tournament and hasn't been seeing as much ice time as we expected, or indeed did see in the Swedes' opening game.
Well, he's a key player, Gary. I think they really miss him for special team things, you know, power play in particular.
Big crowd favourite as well because of his size, but Hakanlub's just as Kluvajev tries to fire it. It's gone the length, so that'll be an icing whistle. But a feisty game so far.
Well, I think the Swedes are slowly getting into it, but it's almost like they're overawed with the occasion. They just got totally outgunned right off the bat, and they were, you know, the Russians were lucky enough to score again.
Well, Hakanlub actually fanned on that shot, and it just drifted through, and Marьin kicked it out. It'll go down as a shot on goal, because had he not kicked it out, it would have gone in the net, and that's the definition. But had Hakanlub not lifted the blade off the ice, he'd have had a lot more to deal with. Kenholt takes Shamnov down. Again, nothing on the play from the referee. Puck goes into the Swedes' bench, and we'll have a face-off to that bench.
Some of those Russians are big lads, Gary. Big, strong wingers.
Well, I wouldn't like to have to move them. Big crowd here, 14,000 nearly. And that's the Swedish wave going around trying to get the team going. Kenholt. Now he's as big as any of the Russians, Kenholt. And he can hit, we've seen it. Here comes Shamnov. Drops it off. Pass goes astray. Uvajev couldn't collect. And Mironov has to go back to try and get things going. And get things going they do through Nemchinov. But he doesn't get the shot away. Riddervold as well. Shuts up shot.
Well, already, Gary, the Swedish goaltender has earned his keep. We could be looking at a 5-0 scoreline right now.
And he wasn't lucky, as we say, but the scoreline actually reads Russia 2, the hosts Sweden, hoping to win the first ever Sweden hockey games, 0. Kravchuk brings it forward. Butsajev loses out. Konstantinov tries to keep it out of the Russian defensive zone, can't. And now they get the chance to clear the lines through Kravchuk. A lot more about this game, particularly centre ice.
Yeah, the Russians are...
That's Kamensky going through.
They're putting a lot into the game.
Just couldn't get a shot away, Kamensky. Big guy, but he's got a few deft touches to him. Here come the Swedes. Eriksson. Eriksson again, gets it across and through the crease. But they just couldn't stretch and get the wood on it, and that's a big lofted backhand in. Get the pressure on. Eriksson goes in deep with Gustafsson, but the Russians clear it anyway. Here's Kamensky. This time he's snuffed out of the play. Stromval brings it forward, but only as far as Butsajev. He dumps it in for the Russians. Comes all the way around for Forsland. Uses the defence. Creates options himself by going down the left wing and takes the pass. And they were caught offside there, Josephson. Late call up to the Swedish team, and he was too early there, over the line ahead of his players. Riddervold takes a well-earned drink.
Well, he's had a lot of work already. Here's a good play, Gary, but I don't know if they hit the goalie's butt end of his stick on the pass across. Yeah, well, the goalie played it well.
Good play by Marjan.
But, you know, these guys shoot the puck well enough. When you get to that range, you think they'd take the shot. Again, easy to say from here.
It's very easy to play this game from sitting up here.
Yeah.
And you've done it before. He's Andersson. He plays both ends of the ice, Andersson.
Well, the Swedish defense are moving up. They're joining into the attack right now.
Seem to have learned some lessons from the Finns. Stromval behind the play. Sergejev trying to corral him. Can't. But now his teammates manage to get it out. Butsajev gets it forward. Spare man in the centre. Can't get it across to Semak. Truchno goes behind. Well, Forsland has it now. Takes it over the blue line. Does his teammates change on the fly. Get some fresh legs out there. Victorson gets it in deep and Lube chases in. Karmbach. Good boardsman, Karmbach. Hustles a lot on the boards. Threw a bit of a shot on Smyrnov there as well, which referee Makala did well to miss. As the young forward, Kozlov. The youngster in the full face mask is the defenseman Zitnik, so they must be under 21 one field.
Yeah, I think they're the youngest guys in the tournament. Well, a goal right now would certainly get Sweden back into it, Gary. I think that's something you could surely use.
They could use two. They
well, don't get greedy.
One at a time. One shift at a time, boys. Let's see what we can get going. The Swedes, they've not let their heads drop, though. They've dropped 2 goals. And they've kept their game together. Kept the pressure on the Russians, and they've taken it to them since they dropped those 2 goals, including that incredibly unlucky one. Big shot from Kozlov, deflected into the stands. That'll be a souvenir for someone. So we're approaching the halfway mark in the first period. The Russians still lead it by 2-0. The Sweden hockey games from the Globe in Stockholm. 2-0 Russia lead it halfway through the first period, and a good period of action so far. Gary Moran in the commentary booth, and alongside me Alex Dampier, the national team coach of the Great Britain squad. And we've seen some good ice hockey already.
Yeah, it's been good, Gary. It's good to see a real offensive game. The Russians are really attacking hard, and they're controlling the play well.
That was Nemchinov trying to get something going for the Russians. They'd like to open up a 3-goal spread, of course, but it's Sweden that's been doing the pressing, or even the pressing, and they've been applying the pressure, as they do now through Eriksson.
Must be almost the first real shot on net.
Well, Marjan did the big interception touch. I thought that came over the line. Yes, the linesman's arms up, but they clear the zone, play themselves back on side. The Russians get caught out with a pass to a player going for a line check. He's Bure. He loses out. Kravchuk gets time to set it up for the Russians as they get their squad out there. Butsajev joins Bure up front. Kamensky, the left wing, gets a shot away. Rudeval gets a piece of it. Doesn't control it, but Johnson can now. Johnson gets the backhand pass forward to Karnbach. And a little bit of pressure going there for the Swedes, but it comes to naught. Gustafsson, another player with NHL experience, trying to force the Russians. And then he goes to the bench. Eriksson's gone out there now for the Swedes. Butsajev brings it down. I thought he got caught up in a line change there, where I think Johnson and Eriksson just double-teamed him.
Well, it looks a little more promising for Sweden right now. They seem to be getting a little more control.
Stromvall backhands it deep. Forsland goes round, lets it run to Andersson. That's off the side netting.
Well, that's got the crowd alive anyway, Gary.
They're waking up.
I don't know what'll happen if they ever put it in the net.
I think the roof might come off. Josephson hustles away. I think we've got an offside whistle rather than a penalty whistle.
Well, they had the chances. Some good play.
Stromvall had a chance here. There's one shot kicked out. Sets himself up, but the keeper didn't know a lot about it. But he knew to get across to that near post. And then that shot goes astray.
Look at the Russians. When they came back in trouble, they had 3 guys around the net. You know, when he tried to get the net off there, this was dug in a little deeper than he expected.
Or the magnet was a little bit too strong. 2-0, Russia still lead it. But they know they're in a game of ice hockey. And the hosts know that if they win it, the 14,000 strong crowd will go wild.
Well, they finally got some chances, which is the main thing right now.
Well, Truchno comes up with nothing for the Russians. Gordiuk tries to. Kozlov turns, but he's taken out on the boards by Andersson. And it's played around to Kenholt, biggest guy in the Swedish team. It's a forward to Hakan Lube, the local hero. Loses out this time though, and Truchno brings it forward for the Russians. Samak chases it in. Rudeval plays it off the plexiglass. And the Swedes clear the zone. Kenholt takes the slash and gets the puck around the boards to his line mate. And Andersson finishes off the clearance to the left wing. Here come the Swedes again, bursting through the middle, through Hakan Lube. Backhand shot, didn't have a lot on it. Berglund goes into the corner, but the Russians manage to clear.
There's a couple of Russians out there running around taking pieces of the guys, Gary. A couple of them look like they're carrying fairly heavy axes.
Berglund in the corner, hustling and bustling with Smirnov. Kozlov hacks it over the blue line and forces the Swedes to backpedal a little bit. Berglund drops it back in though. Butsajev takes the hit in the corner. Kozlov digs deep. The Swedes manage to get it across to the crease area, although there's no one there to do any damage. Tommy Johnson can't get a shot away. Berglund can't get a shot away. Have we got a penalty? I think so. Behind the play. Zalapukin. 2 minutes for holding.
Well, the Swedes had him running around a little bit.
Yeah, he's got hold of him, look. Pitching a ride. That's 2 minutes for holding against number 28, Zelaputi. And the Swedes get a power play opportunity to reduce the deficit.
Well, the Russian penalty killing has been nothing short of excellent this whole tournament, Gary.
In fact, they've looked dangerous short-handed, haven't they?
More so than their power play. I mean, their power play at times looks good, but their penalty killing is very, very good.
And they mix it as well, don't they? It's 2 forwards, 2 defensemen in the box, but sometimes they change the format and tear around a bit. Hack and lube, circle, see what the options are. Samuelsson joins the forwards. The Swedes get it in, and the Russians get it out. Well, Samuelsson's got a big shot on him. Whether we'll see it on this power play remains to be seen. Rundqvist goes in but can't do anything about Mironov's clearance. Samuelsson collects. Drops it off for Hack and Lube. Everything's coming through Hack and Lube with Naslund out injured.
It's always tough now, you know, the crowd getting patient, and it's hard on the players when they don't do something on these power plays.
Berglund deflects it in, but the Russians clear it out. He's Ken Holt. Seeing a lot of ice time, the big guy, but that's probably because the Russians are big guys too, and they've been bumping bodies. A long deflected shot from Ken Holt. The Russians get the chance to clear, and we've said they've looked dangerous, and here comes Kamensky. And he gets the backhand shot away, which incredibly misses. Riddervold doesn't know where it is.
I thought that went in.
I think it was the guy's skate. Netminder's skate kicked the drop net and deceived your old eyes there, Dan. Here come the Russians again. And
I think Sweden will have to start declining these power plays, Gary.
Well, the Russians certainly look sharp, short-handed. Seem to enjoy the extra space, and it's a big rink to start with.
Yeah, they just know how to work it so well. They're giving Sweden nightmares here.
Hammerstrom can't get anything going. He's flattened. They're back to full strength. Killed as if we thought it might not be.
Well, I was kind of cheering for the Swedes, but
you're a bigger fan of Finland than you are Sweden because of the roots, but I suppose you're a Westerner and you're on the Scandinavian side, are you, in this one?
Oh, I like the Russian team. I mean, they're a great hockey organization, hockey country. But 2-0, I'd like to see it 2-2 and make something of it.
Well, the Swedes have certainly got their heads up. They're having a go for this one. And the Russians are not having it all their own way, although the scoreboard tells a different story, 2-0. Here come the Russians now. Stromvall breaks it up and brings it forward for the Swedes over the red line and dumps it in. Dump and chase tactics. Do you think they'll work against the Russians? He's a big shot from Samuelsson.
Well, nothing else seems to be working, so...
Marjan came a long way out to catch a piece of that one. Lidström to Samuelsson and then dumped in. And the Russians clear the zone again and try to get some fresh legs out there. Johnson.
That's not Tony Johnson.
No, that's Tommy Johnson.
Tommy Johnson. I just said T. Johnson there, Gary.
Tony Johnson is the Great Britain team manager. Tommy Johnson is one of the better players in Sweden. Not a lot of difference.
No.
2-0. Russia lead it, I suppose. On reflection, they deserve a 2-0 lead.
Well, quite honestly, I think they had 3 or 4 more good chances. It could be 5, really, Gary. They were all around. The first part of that period, they're just all around the Swedish net. Sweden didn't have an answer to it.
Having said that, as we've said, the Swedes have kept their heads up and they're trying to get something going, and they perhaps deserve a goal before the end of the period. Rundqvist's out there, Marjan covers up. That's Kalmbach having a stony stare at the Russian defenseman, Sergeyev. I don't think he was asking him for an address to send a Christmas card. I think the Russian, if the tape had just run on a little bit longer, you'd have seen him just get a little bit of a skewer in on him from behind. Oh, the referee's putting his foot down. Uvajev can get back on the boards. If you want to change, you can change quicker than this. Well, the referee obviously wanting to speed up the changes, but in effect he slows things down when he points it out, doesn't he?
Well, I'm sure the Russians know what they're doing. Probably just biding a little time.
Well, Mr. Makela from Finland's in charge. What he says goes. 2-0 to the Russians. Still first period. That looked like a hooking penalty by Ken Holt, not given. Now the Russians might have something to say to the referee.
Well, they shouldn't have wasted so much time. They might have got that one.
Well, the Russians, it's not pretty, but they've got it down the right end of the ice. They've got it in the Swedish zone. Now the Swedes get the chance to clear. Rundqvist picks up the pass and fires home. It was Ken Holt, the defenseman. And he showed the deft touch of a forward of the calibre of Rundqvist. Ken Holt came from the back. And how many times have we seen that in the Sweden hockey games? A defenseman joining and helping the forwards. Ken Holt fires home.
Beat him short side with a good shot, Gary. He had lots of room to walk in, but it was a good shot.
Well, we've just moved into the last minute of the period. And he'll be happy. Big Ken Holt. I honestly thought it was forward Rundqvist bursting through, and he dropped back to cover Ken Holt's rush down the ice, and he finished as sweet as one of the best forwards in the country could have. And it's woken the fans up well and truly. 2-1 at 19:03. Ken Holt the scorer, assisted by Kalmbach. We're in the last minute of the first period. No more than they deserve, really.
No, you can't give a guy like that much room to wind up and blast one. You know, it's just too close for the goaltender. Plus, he had other options. There was a couple guys driving hard to the net. So, hopefully now the Swedish fans will get into it and bring their team along.
Well, the Swedish fans could be worth a goal or two in this one. Boosting the atmosphere. Butsajev tries to win the draw for the Russians. Loses out though. The Swedes bring it forward through Johansson. But he loses out. The Russians get a chance to clear. Kamensky works his way around 2-3 players. This boy can play. Tries to go around 5 players, gets it to Bure. Bure loses his footing. And Stillman ties him up. It's a little bit feisty in the corner. Nothing given as the period draws to a close. Konstantinov fires it round the boards. Will either side get another chance? Here's Konstantinov again, collecting. Gets it forward to Butsajev. It's dumped in by the Russians. On to Ridovol. 2-1 the score then. There's the hooter. End of the first period. Russia lead it 2-1. Shots on goal. The Russians had 12 shots, the Swedes 10. Pretty even Stevens there. But the Russians outscored the Swedes. Bure and Truchno. Then that late come from behind goal by Ken Holt. It gives us a 2-1 scoreline at the end of the first. And the comeback goal, no more than the Swedes deserve. They'll be happy. Globe in Stockholm, the start of the second period. Russia 2, Sweden 1. Russia good value for the lead. Alex Dampier, the GB national team coach, with me, Gary Martin, in the commentary box. But Alex, the Swedes good value for that goal at the end of the first period from Big Ken Holt. And we've got a hockey game on our hands.
Well, they needed it, Gary. I don't really think they did a lot of work in the first period. They spent a lot of time in their own end zone, but you know, it's nice to see them bring it back into 2-1, and hopefully that'll get them back into the game. And as it was, Russia was just dominating.
Well, the Russians will look for an early goal to get the spread back to 2, but it's Rundqvist, the first line centre, against Butsajev. In the Russian end, Butsajev wins the draw. Konstantinov down on one knee and then back up. Only gets it as far as Samuelsson, but it's intercepted. This is the big guy, Kamensky. Fakes one shot, stick handles round one, backhands. Oh, soft goal. Kamensky.
Great hockey player though, Gary.
He's got good hands, hasn't he, for a big guy, 6 foot something.
He can do it all.
And mean with it.
I mean, he should have been cranked coming across the blue line though. He had his head down. He should have been just hit hard.
Well, Bure was hit hard.
He was let back into the play.
He fakes the shot.
He should have never got to that position.
Stick handles round. Rundqvist tries the slap. He bounces off both of the keepers' pads, Riddervold, and he puts it back in himself. Soft goal, really. Riddervold being unlucky in a way on 2 of the 3 goals. But goal it is. They scored in the first period in 35 seconds. They upped that by 10 seconds and scored in 25 seconds of the second period. Kamensky assisted Bure. 3-1 to Russia. The Swedes have got it all to do again.
Yeah, 2-goal deficit's going to be tough against Russia. They just hope they can, hopefully Russia will fall asleep, but you can't really see it, not in a final game.
Well, the Russians seem to be playing this one with a great deal more enthusiasm than they have the earlier games. And they look pretty good in those games anyway. Here come the Swedes. They're 2 goals behind. They need something to happen. Here's Andersson. His shot come pass was way off target. And the Swedes dump it in knowing they're offside, but they clear the zone. Everyone comes out. Now they can go back in if they want to. Hammerstrom tries to shut down the Russian rush and does so. Hacks it forward to Smirnov. Hammerstrom again, but he's hooked by Semak. And he's held a bit, but I think Hammerstrom played that one for all it was worth.
The Russians are almost just bullying them around the rink, Gary.
Well, it's that old story we were saying about the Russians. When they look to be on the ropes, they just come back, don't they? Zitnik tries to tie up, sorry, that's Kozlov, the other youngster, trying to tie up Lidström deep in the Swedish zone. Smirnov off the boards.
You know, no matter what, no matter how many Russian players move to North America to play hockey, the Russian team always seems to come up with another little gem somewhere.
We might well be looking at the Russian lineup as it will be in the World Championships. They're not likely to go back to those players, are they? The older players or the younger ones that defected before the gates were opened anyway.
I can't see it, no. I wouldn't. I think just on sheer principle they'll play the players that are still in the country.
And that means these guys here. Kartalov turned on a sixpence or a dime and managed to get a shot away. But Riddervold was equal to it. Forsland's pass goes astray. Josephson can't reach it. Samuelsson will have to hurry. They say Gordiuk was in over the line ahead of the puck on the boards. Gordiuk scored a couple of key goals in earlier games. Here's that turnaround snapshot from Kartalnov.
Swedes just can't allow the Russians to park themselves in front of the net like that. 2 Russians in front and no Swedes in sight.
It's asking for trouble, isn't it? In any language. Kalmbach leans in, steals the puck, and then dumps it and finds himself virtually having to chase it himself, although Berglund gets a bit of it, gets it back to Kalmbach. Here's Kalmbach again from Berglund. Berglund now. The Russians circling well and covering all the plays as the Swedes try to open things up. Ivajev, big tough defenseman, gets it forward. There's a shot from Nemchinov, another big forward. He's got a man tied up in the front, even though the other man, the defenseman Berglund, had a stick wrapped round his head.
There's a couple times, Gary, this guy cutting through the zone, the guy could have possibly followed through and given him a good hit. They're not doing that. They cost them the 3rd goal. And here again, it cost them a good shot in the net.
It's a danger man as well in Gordiuk. He knows how to put the puck away if he's given half a chance. Fans trying to get Sweden going. They trail it 3-1. And the fans want to see a home victory. Here's Bure. Butsajev goes into the corner. Bure is flattened. Konstantinov and Bure get in a bit of a tangle. And Kravchuk comes over to dump it in. Bure goes behind the net and goes over again. Well, he's got an awful lot, Bure, at the moment. Either the Swedes don't like him or he's lost an edge.
It's been a tough line for the Russians. They're an awful lot of hustle.
Well, Lidström's gone this time for holding.
That was more of a judo throw, I think, Gary. They probably, I don't know what the point structure is there, but he got maximum points.
What he did get was 2 minutes for holding. Lidström at 4:05 of the second. Now the Swedes could live without a penalty kill session. So that would cause big problems if the Russians opened up a 3-goal spread and a 4-1 scoreline. Try the long shot, gets through Ridderwall, but he got enough on it to deflect it behind him and away. Hakenlube manages to get it round and past Russian forwards. But of course they're still killing the penalty. Rundqvist goes in deep to try and force Kravchuk. And he hustles in quite well. He comes up with the puck. Good play by Rundqvist.
I think the crowd are objecting a little bit of stick work the Russians seem to be putting into play.
Well, the Swedes doing a good job on this penalty kill. Forechecking well, keeping the pressure on. They've stolen it again. Rundqvist plays it all the way back to the defence, across the red line, and then dumped in. And all the time the clock's ticking down on that penalty to Nicholas Lindström.
Here's the guy that gives them all the trouble, really.
Kamensky. Big, rangy guy. Good hands. Opportunist too.
This is probably one of the biggest Russian teams I think I can remember seeing. Long and rangy. They went through a phase for a while. They had short, squat guys.
Oh, Kravchuk's shot. I think Kozlov got a piece of it, and it went off post. And Ridderwall looks at him as if to say, I had it covered, no worries. Kravchuk the shot.
Sure that wasn't off the post and in?
Well, I'm not so sure that Kozlov got a piece of it. It did not go in. I think it's Ridderwall that gets a piece of it, not Kozlov. Yeah, off the glove, then the post, then under the glove.
Well, this guy has to stay hot or else Sweden's in trouble. It's just one-way traffic right now.
It's just the way he looked around as if to say, I had it covered. As close as you can get without scoring. Strange though that the Russians were shooting from a long way out on the power play.
Well, they're parking guys in front of the net, and they've got some big players, and they're just getting in front of the net, and the Swedes can't move them. I'm sure the Russians, they've got a lot of options they use on power plays, and on this occasion they're trying this one out.
Next time it could be something completely different, couldn't it? Well, they've killed it. Lidström's back to the action. The shot comes in from Kartalnov. There wasn't a lot of steam on it. That shot was wide, and he's Andersson. Manages to get past Semak. Lofts it out the zone. Gustafsson tries to chase it down and gets flattened for his trouble. Here come the Russians. Through Kartalnov again. And that's got to be a goal. Got to be. No. Went all the way through the crease from Kozlov. 2 or 3 defensemen. And no one got enough on it to turn it across the line. Well, that's an escape. That's the sort of lucky break the Swedes can build on.
Well, right now the Russians are just toying with them, really.
Well, they lead it by 3-1. Having scored early in both periods. Here's Rundqvist. Forward to Josephson. Rundqvist goes for the return in the crease area, but Marjan's the only one there when the puck comes in. He turns it away almost contemptuously.
It's got to be tough for Marjan. He sits there, doesn't get any shots, no business at all, and all of a sudden he might get 2 or 3.
Josephson robbed by Semak. Kovaljov. Samuelsson plays it round the boards. This is Rundqvist. Options were limited there for Rundqvist, and he resorted to passing it back to the defence. Then he goes forward to try and get something going. Calm back. Ball to the ice. Referee's arm stay by his side. Here comes Semak for the USSR. They lead it 3-1. Soft shot, lobbed in, and Riddervold covers up.
Well, I don't know what the answer is for Sweden, Gary. They're just right now they're getting out-muscled and out-skated.
And what would you tell them to do then if you were the Swedish national coach rather than the British national coach?
Save my job and start working. Well, I don't know. It's, you know, they're up against a real strong team, and they can, at any given time, these Russians can do a job.
They didn't do a job there, though.
You know, with 4 Swedes piled around the net and 2 Russians, you know, and they still...
Everyone dived in. Panic stations. Still, it didn't go in. Still 3-1 to the Russians.
It'll always be tough for the Swedes. They're not particularly a physical side, and I think if you're going to beat the Russians, you have to be hitting them all the time.
Nemchinov got it forward, but Shamnov couldn't do much about it. It's the Swedes who dig it out on the boards. Swedes have not stopped hitting altogether, but they've stopped. They've eased up on their hitting.
It's not really their game, and to be fair,
when they were doing it, they were doing better.
To be fair, though, you know, Russians are a difficult team to be trying to body check. They're big and strong, and they can skate.
And there's Shamnov with a big shot. I would like to have to hit Nemchinov or indeed Kamensky coming through at full pelt. Here come the Swedes. Stromval can't get it over the blue line, has to go back. Lidstrom. He hits the back of Kravchuk, and the Russians build on it. Bure's in the middle. Good stop by Riddervold. Good move by the Russians. Kamensky dropped it off nicely for Bure. But Riddervold covered the crease quickly and dropped down to block the shot with the pads. Stromval plays it back to Stillman. Stillman off the boards. Johansson chases it in. The Russians clear the zone. Nemchinov circles. A couple of circles before he gets it over the red line. Out to point. Butsajev just dumps it in. Kamensky goes behind. Fakes the backhand to Bure. Butsajev is in there looking for the shot around the net. Bure goes to help him behind. This is Bure. Oops.
Kamensky's got to be the most outstanding player so far, I think, Gary. Seems to be doing everything.
Well, he's got to be in line for the best forward of the tournament. There's a shot from Samuelsson, deflected by Konstantinov. Up into about road G, I think.
Well, the Swedes are blowing right now, Gary. Line changes are quicker and quicker.
They look a little bit lost, don't they? Need a job from Connie Evanson. You can't expect the netminder to do it all on his own. That's Kamensky's pass to Bure.
That's a good save. Great anticipation.
Well, he had to stand up until the pass came, or Kamensky would have just buried it. And he got across there in time for the shot from Bure. Good save, as you say. Might have to make another one. Here comes Kozlov. But the pass from Kartalnov goes astray. And the Swedes get a chance. Kozlov fires it to centre ice. And they get another chance, the Russians, to keep the pressure on the Swedes. Long shot coming in from Smirnov. Now the Swedes get a chance. Get back into it. Josephson's flattened, ends up in the goal. Comes out. I think we're going to have a penalty on the play. That young forward Kozlov heading for the sin bin. 2 minutes for interference. I think we'll see that was or found that it was a play on Josephson, and the Swedish player ends up past Marjan and in the back of the net. He did come out of there and throw a bit of a punch on the back of Marjan.
The Russians are doing something they haven't done all tournament. They're back-checking hard. You know, they're putting more into their game. They're not just strictly attacking, and that was something that was a bit disappointing in the other games, Gary. They didn't really do a lot of extra work, but tonight they seem to be.
Well, Rundqvist feeds in front, but the shot from Johnson goes astray. Hackenloob now. Can the mastermind for the Swedes, the quarterback of their operation, get something sorted out on the power play? Kozlov in the box for 2 minutes. Gets it in front. Marjan covers up, doesn't cover up enough. And a little bit of a panic as Gustafsson tries to snipe a goal. Riddervall in trouble again, and the Russians have got the puck in the back of the net. Well, that's a short-handed goal, and it's Riddervall making a mistake.
The second time he's been going for a walk and find the puck in the net.
Well, it was pressure at one end, orchestrated by Hackenloob, and then down the other end, Alexander Semak pounces. Look at Riddervall. He doesn't get any wood on it. Good anticipation there by Leonid Truchno, who goes behind, fires it out front. Truchno goes straight in for it, look, behind the net, fires it out in front. Hopes there's someone there, and Semak is. And Rolf Riddervall is back in nightmare land.
Oh, he's...
Would you yank him now?
Well, he's playing pretty well, really. His stick handling hasn't been so great. He's made some very good saves. He just got caught out there, mishandled the puck, and he's in trouble.
Well, as long as he remembers he's a goalkeeper and not a defenseman or a forward, he's a better player. Here comes Nemchinov, drops it off, and there's Riddervall doing what he does best, saving.
Well, I'm sure a lot of coaches throughout Europe are angry at what some of the North American goalies have started doing by coming out of the net and stick handling and shooting.
Yeah, well, some of them can do it, but Mr. Riddervall cannot do it so well. Russia then lead it 4-1 with a couple of amazing goals. One in the first, and then that one when Semak pounced on Truchno's pass after Riddervall played it behind the net. The Swedes now with a 3-goal spread to try and catch up on. There's a whistle for icing, so Russia lead it by 4-1. The Sweden hockey games then just over halfway through the second period, i.e. halfway through the match, and it's Russia leading it 4-1. Good value for that lead, albeit on that fluky goal, Alex.
Well, you know, the Swedes really haven't had the breaks, Gary. They couple chances at the other end that they didn't put away, and then the Russians turn around and get kind of what you might have to call a cheap goal.
Well, it was in effect short-handed, although they were helped to a large extent by netminder Riddervall. He's a fine netminder, he's just not so good at centre.
No, he's struggling just a little bit out of his net.
Kamensky taking his time, and they finish off the penalty kill stint. That's Kozlov back on the ice, 2 minutes for interference he took. Approaching the 14-minute mark now in the second period. Hammerstrom to Sweden, soft shot, easily dealt with by Marjan. Rundqvist goes deep to set up, and he doesn't get it. The Russians do. Kozlov, fresh from his break in the bin, comes all the way around. Riddervall stuffs it out, and then the shot from Smirnov goes up a trouser leg, I think, and down the other side.
It's been a while since I've seen the Russians perform like this, Gary. They're
Samuelson's long shot takes a deflection and is covered by Marjan.
I was going to say they're dominating, but I saw the guy shoot on net, and I was afraid I could see it going in.
Well, it didn't happen, so we don't have to explain which law it is. Samuelson's shot. I think the diving player caused more trouble than good.
I mean, that shows the intensity of the Russian team. That's the second or third guy that has laid down in front of shots, and I don't think they did that the whole tournament.
Well, they want this one, don't they? They want the gold medal.
There must have been something said by Tikhonov. I'm sure he must have had words with the lads about their performances, because they haven't really been doing the business.
Here comes Forsland. Can't get a shot in on the backhand, but he's maintained possession. Nothing comes of that, though. Johansson couldn't latch onto it. Here comes Kartalnov. Fires it round the boards to Butsujev.
Should be a penalty here.
I think we've got one interference. And I think it's Kozlov again.
He skated through the crease and took the goalie out, I think.
Well, he didn't make any effort to go around him, did he? Not the brightest of penalties. But the Russians have looked better short-handed. Perhaps that's the ploy. Kozlov, interference, 15-23 gone.
Well, we need Sweden to get something here, Gary.
A power play goal would reduce the rears to 4-2. Can they do it? They've got a man advantage. Andersson plays it off the boards behind the net and waits for the return pass, which he duly gets. Johansson's gone down the right wing. Viktorsson's taken up the centre's position. Johansson gets it, but the tip to Viktorsson doesn't work. Berglund tries to win possession. It doesn't come his way. Played off the back of the net by Johansson, and then it's cleared. Russians have looked particularly... the crowd getting nervous there as Riddervold comes behind the net to play it.
I don't speak Swedish, but I think they're saying...
oh, heck.
Back in the cage.
No, go back to the crease.
Guy's gonna have a complex.
Well, he's had an interesting game. Some big saves, and then some not quite dazzling stick handling skills, and some bad luck too. Well, it's the Swedes on the power play. They need to make this man advantage count.
It just shows how good the Russians are, really, Gary. This is a huge ice rink, and the Swedes are having to resort to dump the puck in. It's just shows how well the Russians can skate and play the game.
Well, it's Karmbach dumping it in. Nemchinov plays it around the boards this time. Lidström now. He carries it over the blue line. Turns and loses possession. And Uvajev gets it to Smirnov and away. Well, Riddervold stuck to the simple things there when he went behind the net. His teammate said thank you. Here's Rundqvist. Karmbach picks it up in the corner. Rundqvist. Karmbach's gone centre in front of the crease. They're back to full strength. Hakenlund and Rundqvist. Well, it won the power play. It came 5 seconds after the power play had officially finished. But I don't think Kozlov was back on the play. And it was a well-worked goal.
Yeah, did a good job. Take the shot.
A lot of experience in that, a lot of NHL experience. Winds up for the big one. Instead, it's a hard pass. And the man who's clear and free, far post, was Rundqvist. Thomas Rundqvist. Assisted Lube and Johnson. The 3 NHLers combining. And we get a 4-2 scoreline. Not quite on the power play. Even-handed. But only just. 17-28 gone. 4-2. And I guess we've got a hockey game on our hands again.
Well, it looks like it. It's still a bit suspect whether Sweden can carry it 5-on-5, though. We'll see what Russia have to do here. They seem to be still taking the play to Sweden.
Well, I think there'll be some frowns and some tough talking in the Russian dressing room at the end of the second period, because that wasn't the penalty kill style that we've become used to in the Sweden hockey games.
No, it didn't break down. Normally the Russians chase and they break the play down. That time, well, Sweden controlled it quite well. They made a couple key passes and the Russians seemed to drop into a low box, and Mind you, there's some good experience on the Swedish team, Gary. Some good smart heads out there.
I was going to say, we can't underline enough the fact that there was some smart hockey players out there with lots of experience and some heads-up play as well. And the young Russians were caught out, as perhaps they should be, because they're not invincible.
Well, I think you're quite right when you say young Russians. They are, you know, some of the Swedish players are older, experienced men, and the Russians are quite young.
So we've got a 4-2 hockey game. Swedish fans wearing 27. There isn't one, so if he sneaks on the bench, he might get a game. Rundqvist with the face-off just to the right of Marьin. Now another goal here before the interval would set up a cracking third period. That shot was screened and blocked, and the Russians bring it out. Kartalnov's at the far post, but it doesn't come through to him. Here come the Swedes again, the crowd roaring. Hakanlub helped set up that power play goal. Now they're robbed. And Kozlov, 2 penalties, one of which led to the goal. Follows in. He's a fiery youngster. Here's Rundqvist coming through centre ice, tries to go route 1. He's tied up. And the Russians clear, and it's with Kozlov. Zelapukin can't get on the end of it, and the Swedes clear the zone. The Russians lob it up into the air. It's over the boards into their bench.
That last rush, Gary, with the Russians, they showed some great skill on the 3-on-2. They keep doing so many small things right. Just shows what skill levels they have. And for big men too, you know, it's not as if they're little guys. They've got some great hands for guys that are 6'3".
Well, Kamensky sums them up, doesn't he? He illustrates the point rather aptly. 6'3", 6'4", about 200 pounds. Skates well, stick handles well, and can pounce and be an opportunist as well. But the Swedes, they've got their heads up at the moment, got their tails up. They've got one back. It's 4-2. He's Berglund. And there's a good chance for Viktorsson. Brought it round, tried to can open a goal, nothing came of it. Truchno goes behind the Swedish net. And a soft pass out front. Only goes as far as Kenholt. No penalty given.
I think the Swedes are quite happy they didn't get the penalty.
4-2, there's the hooter for the end of the second period. The Swedes have got one back. 8 shots on goal though, they've been outshot 2-1, 16 for the Russian second period. Start of the third period then, the Sweden hockey games, the last period of action from Stockholm's Globe Arena. The Russians lead it 4-2. And 20 minutes of ice hockey to go in what's been an entertaining tournament. It isn't over yet, and the Swedes are hoping to do something about a 2-goal deficit. Alex Dampier.
Well, they better be careful, Gary. I think they started off very badly in the first 2 periods, so these first 30 seconds to a minute are very, very important. They can't let Russia sneak one in here now.
Well, they put their first line out there. Hakanlub's out there trying to get something going. Hero doesn't sort it out this time. Bure doesn't get it over the line for the Russians, and the Swedes manage to dump it back in. This time they clear the zone. Kamensky to Butsajev, to Bure. His shot comes off the back of Rundqvist's skates. And Rundqvist has to go into the corner with Bure to try and get something going. He's got hold of him, holds him down, nothing given by referee Makela from Finland. As Christina says in the rink, that was icing. Well, the Russians won't sit back, but they'll just try and tidy it up, won't they?
Well, I think they got, you know, a little bit sloppy at the end of the second, but I can't see they're really in much danger as long as they keep playing the way they are. I'd like to hear the Swedish crowd get into it a bit more to see if they can pick their team up.
And of course, an early goal would do Sweden the power of good in this third period. Andersson wins possession behind his own net. Drops down onto the stick of his winger. and they get it forward through Viktorsson. That's not icing, that's just a dump in. Viktorsson goes in to collect himself. Big blast, big save by Marjan. Berglund's shot, soft shot, and Viktorsson has an empty net to go for.
There we go. That's what's needed.
1:41 gone. Well, Michael Johansson will get an assist. They were queuing up.
Well, that's the type of fire they've needed. They've had guys around.
Ken Holt's shot, Berglund's shot. Johansson off the keeper, and Viktorsson's left all on his own. Both the defenseman at the near post, he's at the far post. And he says, that'll do me, 4-3. A one-goal spread.
I don't think he'd believe his luck. Wouldn't want to miss that one.
Well, he was happy about it. He thought it was difficult.
I'll tell you what, they're all difficult at that time of night.
They all count. 4-3, Sweden right back in it. Zitnik ties it forward for the Russians. The Swedes block it out.
Of course, what they got to be careful of, Gary, they just probably woke the red team up.
Well, they'll start playing a little bit harder now.
The big red army, they won't be happy. Mr. Tikhonov will certainly have a frown on his face back at that bench.
Well, he's had a lot of successful years in charge of the Russian team, and we know he wants to win this tournament, even if he is using it to prepare for the World Championships. And at the moment they're leading in a game that they need to win to lift the gold medal by 4-3. And the wave's going again. The fans are getting into it for the Swedes, the host nation. Johnson in the corner ties his man up to allow his colleagues to bring it forward for Sweden. Here's Hackenloob. Tries it across and in, but it's hacked out on the backhand. That'll be icing.
So I think with the Russians, Gary, as good as they are, they know the time to unload the puck and ice it. If there's trouble at all, they don't mess around. Out it goes.
Well, next year in the Sweden Hockey Games, we hear that Canada and America have said they'd like to take part, and that will beef up the tournament. A couple of other nations too want to join in, and who can blame them?
The way Russia's playing, I don't know who'd want to play them.
But it's good preparation, isn't it? And to get opposition of this caliber in one setting.
Yeah, it's of course Olympic year next year. It's be a big preparation.
Well, we're not talking about 4 average European teams here. We're talking about the 4 best. Here comes Nemchinov. The drop pass for Shamnov. Ridovol's out of the net again. He's sitting behind the net. Fortunately, it lands on a teammate's stick this time, Samuelsson, and he clears it. And Ridovol has had some interesting plays. And he plays the puck away. A little bit of frustration.
Well, Ridovol, he followed the play around really well, and
he just couldn't get his leg shut over the puck. Look at Samuelsson, nothing behind him. Got it away.
Poor Ridovol, he'll look bad over at the end of the game. He'll look back at this and just wonder, how could he ever possibly get such bad bounces?
Well, he might watch the tape of this one and think, perhaps next time I'll stay in the crease.
This is good forechecking.
Stantinov being hustled all the way. Bure loses out. Kamensky mops up. Circles. Good head on him.
Yeah, he's a great hockey player. He always gets back into the play too.
Opens up some options. Always gives his teammates something to go for. And there he is on the far post there. Butsajev's flashing shot came all the way around though, and Ken Holt has taken it down the ice. This time his shot is blocked out, and it goes high and wide. He scored earlier though, he's got a taste for it, Ken Holt.
Don't see much of Gustafsson tonight. He's been usually he's a main figure on the Swedish team. He hasn't really had a lot of ice time.
Special teams only. So perhaps he's carrying an injury as well. There's Eriksson. Forsland on the right wing. Stromvall takes the face off and wins it. Stillman's shot. Marjan goes round the back and one-hands it into the corner. Not out of trouble, but out of the danger area. Marjan, who's had a problem with his concentration and that he's had so little to do, and kicks that one out and is flattened from behind by a teammate. Forsland through the crease area, and there's no one there. Shamnov. Russians trying to get something going.
That was a great spurt by the Swedes. It's sort of the best bit of pressure they've put on the whole time.
Well, Riddervall was a little bit undecided there. And they're all winding up now. A little bit of cross-checking. Forsland not very happy. Decidedly disappointed there. But they're only a goal behind now.
Yeah, they could have tied it up there. Would have made quite a difference. I mean, the crowd seemed to fade in and out of this game, Gary.
So do the Russians.
Yeah, well.
And they were right in it there with Riddervall. Shall I cover it? Shall I not? Shall I not? In the end, Forsland said, put your mitt down. And here come the Swedes. Hakanloob out there, key player. Loob's in the corner. Doesn't come all the way around. He gets flattened from behind. Gets away from Sergejev. And gets the puck away to Eriksson. Samuelsson's shot. Loob got a tip. Unlucky, didn't go in. Margin was down. Hakanloob fighting for possession. Loses out. And Hakanloob waved his stick there at a Russian player. And he's drawn 2 minutes for slashing.
You see Loob's getting just a little bit frustrated. I think there's been some bit of cross-checking going on. He's been on the tail end of a few cross-checks, and
oh, he said something, and he's going to wish he hadn't, because I think he's just been given a game. Slashing and misconduct. Well, that could be the end of it for Sweden. He's a key player.
That's a bad call, really, this kind of game.
Well, it's a 10-minute misconduct. So, well, we've got less than 15 to go. So we're not going to see much more of Hakanloob. 10-minute misconduct. 2 minutes for slashing. He did wrap the Russian lad round the head with a stick.
He's got a few high sticks himself, though, Gary. He's they paid a little special attention to him now and again. Whenever they had a chance to give him one, they did.
Well, without Naslund in the lineup, he's a key player. You shut him down. You don't necessarily shut the whole team down, but you're well on the road to doing that.
Well, he's certainly a key man on the power plays.
Well, the Russians have a power play now. Can they do something about it? They're only on a 1-goal spread. Bring it forward. Kamensky gets it forward to Konstantinov, his captain. Let the Swedes fire it down the ice. The Russians have to try again. Butsajev gets past Stillman and gets the pass to Buur. It's a shot from Konstantinov at point. Did Riddervall get a piece of it? Went wide anyway. In front, there's only a Swedish player there. And hoists it down the ice. Well, they're killing the penalty well, but it would have been nice for them to have got Hakanloob back after 2 minutes. They won't get him back now for 12 minutes. Andersson threw a bit of a slash there.
Well, they're doing a good job killing this off, Gary. Ooh, almost spoke too soon.
Andersson. The Swedish fans calling for a penalty. But he's letting it go both ways at the moment. Kravchuk goes into the corner. Oh, fans on that one. Swedes get the chance to break. He's Rundqvist. He circles, gets a pass across.
Save of the night, Gary, right there.
And that could win him the gold medal. Short-handed break, of course. And that's gone into the crowd, so we get a whistle. 4-3, Russia lead, just a single goal in it. And we're looking at a big finale. The Russians still lead it by 4 goals to 3. Third period then, the Russians lead this, in effect, final of the Sweden hockey games, 4 goals to 3. And the host nation alive and active to the task that they need one more goal to get level. Here's Josephson going down the left wing. Stromvall tries to get something going for them. Forsland goes to the net. Doesn't come to him. Forsland has to go behind the net. Still can't get to it. But Stromvall helps. It's the Russian Zitnik. Fires it round the boards and out. And down. That's a whistle for icing. Gary Moran in the commentary booth with me. Alex Dampier, coach of the GB national team. Hakan Lube still in the box, as he'll stay there even when the 2 minutes are up, and I think they might just about be up. Yeah, they're back to 5 men, but of course Lube's got 10 minutes misconduct and they'll miss him.
Well, somebody's going to have to come out, fill that spot, so you may see Gustafsson coming out and putting in more time now.
Or maybe Riddervall will go forward and play centre, the goalkeeper. He's already tried it a couple of times tonight. Here comes Karnbach, and he got some lumber on his man there. Namestnikov felt the full force of that one. And he's really piling on the pressure now. There's a shot from Berglund. Johnson keeps it in. Zipnik. They'll just try and ice it and get it out, but they don't have to. They get it to Semak. Oh, and that's a dive, surely. Has he given the penalty?
No.
Well, it looked like a dive to me. Players come back and pat Riddervall. They're either saying well done or they're saying best of luck.
I'll tell you, the Marьin made the big save. Swedes came in, teed one up from 20 feet out, and great shot, but better save. That could have been 4-4.
And from a keeper that hadn't been very active.
Yeah, he's been struggling. He was probably frozen down at the other end.
So the Russians still lead it 4 goals to 3. Third period. And what, as I say, amounts to the final of the Sweden hockey games. And it's been the best game of the tournament as well.
Yeah, there's been a lot more enthusiasm.
Well, 14,000 home fans rooting for the team in yellow, the Swedes. It's the team in red, the big red machine, Russia leading at 4 goals to 3. And we're into the third, but it's close. Berglund hustling now in the corner with Kenholt and Truchno.
This has got to be the Swedish nightmare for defense. They're just getting so much work to do down below with these Russian forwards.
Well, it just ties the puck up at the wrong end of the ice for them, doesn't it?
But it's a lot of work. I mean, these guys will be exhausted now. They've got to head for the bench.
Well,
it's like wrestling.
It's like a tug of war in many ways as well. And finally, Seppo Mäkelä from Finland decides enough's enough. Let's have a face-off. And Berglund and Kenholt go down, as do Gordiuk and Butsajev. And we have a face-off just to the right of Riddervall. He's probably as surprised as we are that he's still there.
Well, he's made some great saves, Gary. We
well,
keep saying that.
Yeah, but he's also made a few mistakes. And he's been unlucky.
Yeah, I hope this isn't his claim to fame.
Well, the Russians have a single goal advantage. 4-3 they lead it. Third period in Stromvall for Sweden. His pass can't go to anyone. The Russians bring it out. Swedes need to set themselves up and go, and they've not looked so good 5-on-5, have they? They've needed something to happen to break it down. Here's a chance for the Russians. Rideval, quick to the sea, that one, coming from Menchinov.
That looked like a little bit up and under there for the
well, we've got a
rugby play.
Penalty. 11:07 gone. Lidström draws 2 for hooking, and that doesn't please the home fans.
Well, he's let so much go, you know, and all of a sudden to call this one, it's hard to stomach.
Well, Buttigieg comes into pressure Stillman, and then Lidström gets a piece of his man, Bure, and knocks him down. 11:07 gone, just what the Swedes don't need. A penalty for hooking against Lidström, and they'll have to kill this one and then try and catch up.
Well, there's one good thing, the fans can all leave here and blame the referee. If things don't go well, they can just blame the Finns. The Finns had it in for them.
As if a set of fans would blame the referee. Here come the Swedes, short-handed. Eriksson shovels it forward, he's flattened. No penalty, and it infuriates the home fans. Here come the Russians. Kozlov can't get it back to his defenseman, and the Russians will have to go deep to collect.
We haven't really seen this Russian power play clicking yet, Gary. I think they must be well overdue to put one in here.
Well, Zitnik brings it forward. Lundqvist drops his man off the play, nothing given there. Zelepukin goes to the bench, I believe. The Russians try to get something going. There's Semak, he puts his hand on the puck, tries to maintain possession, and it's a hand pass.
A referee that smiles.
Well, I think Semak thought he got away with it. You watch this, he puts his hand on it, and then as he gets up, no, we're not going to go that far. As he gets up, he just throws it back along the boards.
Here's a good hit.
Well, it's Eriksson who does the 360. And that was something the fans wanted a penalty for, but it was just a good hit, as you say, Alex. Now the Swedes under the hammer, as the Russians apply the power play pressure. Here's Uvajev to Mironov. Shamrock gets it in. God, he's flying every which way now.
Some real obvious penalties, and then he calls that one in Sweden. It's almost laughable.
Lidström must be wondering what's going on. Here's Shamrock. Mironov. Uvajev with a big shot, soft one. Oh, deflected in off Andersson's skate. Well, I don't think that was what you could call a blast from the blue line, Dan.
Oh dear. Poor
Rideval, the goalkeeper. Let's watch this one. Mironov gets it across. He hardly hits it, and it just goes off the defenseman's skate. Andersson, and it's in, and no wonder Rideval slashes the pipework with his stick. No assist, of course, no own goals. In ice hockey, Ubajev's credited. He was the last attacking player to touch it. It's a power play goal. A penalty that was really inconsistently called. Here come the Russians again, and they scored straight away. Now that was a proper goal.
This goaltender may just hang him up after this, Gary.
Well, as Christina's just announcing behind the play, Hakan Lube has been given a game misconduct now. He must have said something else to the referee. He too was baffled, and then the Russians came straight in from the face-off to score. Pavel Bure, the scorer, assisted Kamensky. Two forwards who've looked particularly good throughout the game, straight from the face-off. 7 seconds of action before it's in the back of the net again. So it was Uvajev originally. Lube said something to the referee, and his misconduct was doubled up to a game. That was the end of it for him. And then Pavel Bure on a pass from Kamensky, beautiful play. The Russians stretched it to 6-3.
Well, you know, I think the referee made some poor calls, and then you can't blame the Swedes for being upset, really.
There was, as you say, some inconsistency there, but At the end of the day, shouting at him won't make him change his mind.
Well, no, I think you don't think Loop should have known better. Really, they were still in the game at 1 goal spread, and all of a sudden he gets a 2+10, which is crazy for a guy of his experience.
Especially with Naslund missing from the lineup for this one. So we approach the closing minutes. Marjan does some stretching exercises to keep his mind on the job in hand.
I don't think that's Ridderwall's problem.
Well, he's glad he's the goalie in red tonight, not the guy at the other end in yellow. What do you say?
Well, should make a rule to swap half time.
That's Ridderwall in and out of the glove. Kozlov behind the net hustling. Berglund's there for the Swedes. Kozlov comes up with it. Off escape by Semak. Russians using a lot of bodies now. They've got a 3-goal spread, of course. Here's Kozlov. And Ridderwall got a piece of that one and turned it round the post. Well, Berglund got tripped up over his own player. Yeah, all together, look. That's Ken Holt and Semak. I think it was a pin down or a submission. Well, Semak drops on top of Ken Holt. Ken Holt rolls over. Berglund in his urge to get hold of Zelapukin tripped over the pair of them. Meanwhile, Ridderwall goes out front and makes a great save.
I think they're all forgetting about poor Ridderwall. They're all chasing Russians around. They're getting shots at him.
And he does, as we say, come up with a good save. And by no means the first of the night.
I hate to read the papers tomorrow in Stockholm. I wonder if Ridderwall's name will be there, either that or the referee's name.
Well, the Swedes clear the zone and ease some pressure on Ridderwall. They trail it by 6-3. And the Swedes will need to do some fast and furious bumping and some fast and furious scoring to get back into this one. Russia then, with a little bit of help from the official, lead it by 6-3. They're heading for gold in the Sweden Hockey Games. Final of the Sweden Hockey Games then, and it's Russia with a 3-goal spread. 6-3, they lead the host nation Sweden. They're heading for gold medals, a cup and a big check. And the Swedes have got about 6 minutes to try and do something about it, 6 or 7 minutes. And they get one from Samuelsson. Well, that's not a bad way to try and get things going. 14:54 gone. Samuelsson the scorer. Karnbach gets the assist. He was just floating around. He buried it.
Oh, he teed it up. Well, it'd be nice to see Sweden get a few bounces. They don't have much time left, and especially with Lube out of the game. Be fair to the goalie, he was screened on that, though.
Yeah. Yeah, Marjan.
At least he was in his net.
Samuelsson, 14:54 gone. 6-4 the score. Karnbach drawing an assist, although I think the defenseman had as much to do with the playback, the layback, as Karnbach, but he gets an assist, Karnbach. And Tommy Samuelsson scores a goal to get us to a 6-4 scoreline, much more respectable. And 5 minutes to go now.
Well, they'll have to pull out all the stops now, Gary. I think you'll probably see, if Sweden can get control at all, everybody pushing up. There's not going to be anybody holding back. They need a quick goal. It's panic stations right now on the Swedish bench, and they know it's do or die right here and now.
Well, Pavel Bure goes behind the net. Kamensky tries to pick up from him. Here's Bure again. The Russians try to re-establish the 3 goals. They don't get it. Bure's hustled off it. Kamensky can't get anywhere. Kravchuk goes in. He's a nice steady defenseman. Oh, Kamensky flattened him then, didn't he? He shakes his head, but I don't think he can argue about that. A hooking penalty at 15:31, and that man Kamensky as he receives that penalty, we hear, has been picked as the best forward of the Sweden hockey games. Barring a sudden spurt, he'll also pick up the leading scorer. Kamensky best forward, Alex, do you agree with that?
Well, I think so. He's been an outstanding player. He's done everything: penalty kill, power plays. And when he gets the puck, something happens. I mean, he's got the ability to just escape from one end to the other with it.
Well, the best goaltender award's gone to Tammy of Finland, the best defenseman to Kravchuk of Russia, and best forward, as I say, to Russia. They also pick up the Fair Play trophy. Well, they were way in front in that. I mean, they'll have to pick up an awful lot of penalties before the end of this one for any of the other teams to take that away from them. Meanwhile, Sweden have a power play and an opportunity to reduce the deficit to a single goal.
It's not very often the team that wins it gets the fair play. It's usually the person or the team in the bottom end that get the fair play award.
Well, a quick tot-up tells you that barring some major penalties between now and the end of this one, the Russians have only 26 penalty minutes and Sweden 48, so there'll have to be some big and unusual calls from the Finnish referee Makila to take that fair play trophy away from the Russians. As it is, will they get the gold medal, or will the Swedes pounce here on the power play and get something so that we have a crackerjack finish? Viktorsson hustling behind the Russians' net, can't stop it coming all the way. Andersson goes back to collect for Sweden. At least this time Riddervold didn't come out to play it for him.
Well, this is where they miss Naslund and Lube.
Rundqvist goes back. As he got the Nausen experience to get something going. He's calm back. They're caught offside.
Still don't see Gustafsson out here, Gary. I wonder if he... Oh, yeah, he must have been hurt. Because he's been another special teams man. He's done a good job for them over the whole tournament.
Well, I can lip read there, and referee Makila was saying, shut up. He's already penalised Hakan Lube, the ultimate penalty, for expressing disappointment at the calls. He's in the dressing room. And the Swedes a little bit frustrated. And here's Johnson. Takes it behind his net, looks up to see what the options are. The Russians drop back to defend in numbers. All four of them, because they're on penalty kill duty. Calm back. Lundqvist in front, can't get a shot away. Lidström couldn't get one away either. There's Gustafsson. No, it's Karnbach. The shirt was rucked up. Not seen much of Gustafsson at all.
He needs some shooting here soon.
Well, there's the shot at last from Lidström, goes wide. I don't think Marjan had to do anything about it. I think it was in the side netting. Rundqvist, Karnbach to Rundqvist. Johnson fakes the shot. Back to Rundqvist, he's got a chance to shoot there, doesn't take it. He's Lidström. The Russians are back to full strength. The penalty's killed. Marjan covers up. We get a face-off just to the right of his goal. And that could be Sweden's last chance.
They've held off shooting with not much time left. You'd think they'd be shooting any time they get the puck. I mean, they need something quick. It's not as if they're one goal down, they're two. And they're setting it up well. The Russians are sure trying to clear that net.
Well, the fans are trying to get behind them. Biggest crowd of the tournament, 13,850 here in the Globe Arena in Stockholm, for what in effect is the final of the Sweden hockey games. If it stays like this, Russia will have 2 wins and a draw, and that will take the top position. 6-4 to the Russians. Good value for that?
Yeah, I'm quite surprised. I mean, the Swedes have fought back. They've always been behind the 8 ball, so to speak, but they've never quit. They've always kept working away and working away. They're, again, just, unlucky. Right now, they're just not getting the bounces.
Andersson there.
But they've got everybody
Defenseman.
up.
Viktorsson, his shot goes wide.
Margin, I think, might have had a piece of it.
Johansson's in there hustling. The Russians cover up. Kravchuk does his party trick with the hook on the end of his blade. And we're in the last 2 minutes.
I mean, right now, Sweden have got 4 men in the attacking zone. No, he just shot wide.
He's a defenceman though, and he's hustling forward. And of course that's what they've got to do. They trail it 6 goals to 4, and that'll give the gold medal to the visitors from CCCP, or spelt another way, USSR. Face off just to the left of Marьин. Butsajev lets Konstantinov take it from him, fire it round. Bure can't get it, Berglund can't reach it. Goes centre ice, Ken Holt takes his man down. No penalty now, we're in the last 2 minutes. The Swedes desperate for a goal. Trail it 6-4. They might as well pull the keeper about now. High sticks, so we get a face-off.
Well, this is sure a hopeless feeling for Sweden. They know if they don't get something shortly, it's time to get the golf clubs out, Gary.
Well, it is a timeout. Connie Evansson. I feel sure he'll tell Riddervoll to stay on the bench. And I don't mean for what good he does out there on the ice.
Well,
because he does do some good saves.
Yeah,
he'll go with the 6 skaters, or if he doesn't go straight with them as soon as they win possession, I'm sure he'll pull Riddervoll. But it's going to be a face-off just to the right of Marьin, and a high sticking call against the Russians, so it'll go deep in their zone. You might as well pull him now.
Well, he's got a set play going here, so with a few of his guys, and I'm sure he's got some kind of plan going right now.
Well, here they go. Rundqvist, Johnson, Kenholt, Johansson, Andersson and Berglund. They're the 6 chosen skaters.
It'll be interesting to see how Swedes line up on this one.
Well, there's the empty net. All the Russians need to do is get possession and hit the target. They won't be able to blame Riddervoll for the last 2 minutes.
No.
That's a pretty conventional lineup.
Yeah, it is. I thought they'd flood the front of the net a bit more, but...
They win possession. Viktorsson with a shot. Andersson trying to hustle.
Tell you what, they've worked on this.
Good defensive work by Sergejev. The Russians can't get it on target. Johnson takes the blast off the boards and then does drop it off to Lidström. Collects it again himself and brings it forward. Swedes with 6 skaters and an empty net behind them dump it in. Smirnov gets the chance to clear but doesn't. He's Berglund. Berglund gets it behind the net. Rundqvist's in front. Rundqvist shot off the side netting. Swedes trying to get something. All stops are out now. Berglund turns it in front. The Russians get a chance. Will he get a shot on the empty net? Fans on it the first time. Stretch from Johnson, cuts it out.
Sweden have had some chances here, Gary. They just haven't had the bounces. They've been all around the Russian net.
Berglund dumps it in. The Russians dump it out. Eriksson gets a shot away. Andersson goes in deep for it, plays it round the back. Eriksson can't get to it. And the Russians, can they shuffle it out? Don't have to. There's the hooter. Russia 6, Sweden 4 is the final score. And the presentation. Vladimir Konstantinov comes forward to receive the trophy. Worthy winners?
Yeah, I think so, Gary. On the night, they played extremely well. They controlled the game. Even though Sweden got back into it, I don't think Russia really were ever in danger.
Well, he picks up a check for a few thousand kroner as well, and he takes it back to his teammate alongside that huge cup. And his teammates are more interested in the check than the cup.